This episode is fun and contains strange things. At the end of the video, in the story of a situation that happened, we begin with Counselor Ahmed Abdo Maher. Isn't it strange that graduates of nuns' schools are better than graduates of other schools in knowledge and morals? Then we meet this with the penance of willing women and priests, print A. He got a lot of comments. Among them is Fatima Naoud, who wrote The Education of Nuns, who presented the finest education in the world. Academic education and classical refinement. I responded to her and wrote to her truthfully, Professor Fatima, because the nuns' schools implement the words of the Bible that says, "As for me, I say to you, love and bless your enemies, not your eyes. Be kind to your priests. Pray for those who abuse you and expel you." In the Bible, the 5th chapter calls for forgiveness and love, peace. And this is the Bible's teaching of God's love. And your honor is one of the finest personalities. My greetings to you. Please write because they first learn lessons in love and respect for others before academic qualifications. God bless you, Mr. Chancellor Ali Span Books Doctor, in all times and places. Add to that. I treat them more honestly. They often do not steal like an eye. Your eye is like our gathering. It does not take offense. For me, they are the cleanest, kindest, and closest friends in the sense of friends. I began to understand the reason after I understood from you how a religion has reached us, not him, and is conflicted. And there is no powerlessness or strength except in God. Muhammad wrote that the Christian brothers are the salt of the earth, and they are the egg of the dome. Their morals are high, their credibility is high, they are lovers of others, and they have high clarity in daily dealings. Faith wrote, "This is a fact, that schools of horror have no equal and compete for entry. Muslims before Christians." Magdi wrote that it is the strange irony, Mr. Counselor. Whoever extends his hand with love and goodness is an infidel, and whoever extends his hand with a bomb and an explosive belt is a believer. Let Layla hear what I wrote, because school is the foundation, and their school is the school of Christ. Love Muhammad Salim wrote, "Praise be to God that I chose for my daughters, schools, nuns, the utmost beauty and sophistication. The best choice," Jihan wrote. I read in one of the comments a direct accusation that a Christian is an infidel and worships 3 of his family in parentheses. Third 3. I'd like to explain to everyone. The Christian man held an attempt by me to simplify it for everyone. There is no Christian who believes that God is the third of 3. This is a deception. You are aware of it. The Christian belief is that the Triya, one, that is, the one God has 3 regions. I will try to bring them closer to you. I consider them to be 3 qualities of one person. As a Muslim, are you tired? 99 too. In parentheses, it means the beautiful names of God. Have you ever had a Christian? Are you an infidel? Do you worship? 99 too? Of course not, because he is fully aware that you worship one God who has 99 names or attributes. So why? Your lordship claims to a Christian that he associates with God even though he is monotheistic. By God, God is one like the sun. The sun one from essence, and at the same time contains the disk and the ray. God also created man in his own image and likeness, and God said yes to man in our image, as I am in the book of Genesis chapter 1. Man is one and contains a trinity, and the human trinity is represented by spirit, soul, and body. God intended to be the greatest witness. For himself, he is man, and therefore his mount is in his image and his likeness. The ecstasy comes, published. Ba'a al-Nadr, son of the guard, wrote, "If you want to know the extent of the mental decline currently existing in the best nation, then you should read their comments and opinions about a hurricane in Lerida. And in the comments, did you publish the photo, Muslims' interpretation of natural disasters on the right, glory be to him who sent them, a crackling wind to taste the torment in this world and the hereafter. The North wants God to take them to his side. How beautiful it is to die in the forbidden house and in the forbidden month. On the other hand, he also published the euphoria of Al-Anani. They asked German Chancellor Angela Merkel, "Is there a woman stronger than you?" And she said, "Yes." They said, "Who?" She said to them, "Whoever made 5 prayers and remained silent for a month, kept her vagina and cut off her bahala. And it was said to her, 'Enter from whichever gates of paradise you wish.' Ahmed Hamdi acted on our post as a Muslim. This is medicine, but that remains." For crying, Salafi, Dr. Khaled Montaser and his exciting comments, Latakia News Network published this post. A devastating hurricane hits America. The devastating Hurricane Milton strikes more than 6 American states, leaving more than 1 dead and 700 missing as an initial toll, in addition to billions in losses and power outages. Glory be to you, my Lord. He slows down and does not neglect. This post was also published by the 2nd devastating hurricane in America. God is great. Praise be to God. Oh God, wipe them off the face of the earth and preserve the Muslims. Say amen. Dr. Khaled Montaser commented and wrote, saying that this hurricane in Lari is a divine punishment for desolation on the basis of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria was a welcome arrival, and a massage and jacuzzi session for Muslims. Of course, many relationships, including Fatima, said, "I seek refuge in God from the hatred of these people." Dr. Khaled Red Sawad and Gul Shawi wrote, by the way, that all cities in the path of the hurricane have been evacuated, knowing that the city of Tanba has one of the largest Arab communities. In parentheses, the believer in Florida, Wahid, wrote that Libya sank last year. What was that? By the way, most of the residents of this flurry are immigrants. I mean, I wrote a lot of complaints, gloating, and strange joy. I have not seen them in any category of people other than this category. This is the anger of nature, so it is something that envelops us, wraps over any country. May God protect us from their gloating so that we can get something from a lot of gloating and go on our feet. We are on books for the first time. I agree with you in the title of the post. Just do natural disasters happen anywhere on earth? Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Syria, and America in particular are famous for hurricanes as a result of their geographical location. Between 2 oceans, juices and eddies usually arise as a result of the collision of cold air with hot air. Autumn with a change in pressure, resulting in hurricanes and the rider. The important thing is that the authorities warned about the hurricane for several days. I mean, we know that God is thinking about it. Little by little, his intentions will be revealed. Samir wrote, or the tsunami, which struck Muslim Indonesia years ago and claimed thousands of victims and displaced 1,000,000. Ahmed wrote, in general, whether for infidels or Muslims, cosmic phenomena. God said, "We do not send the signs except to intimidate and warn. But it happens with them. They say it's a trial, but it happens with others." Day and do not neglect. On the other hand, Dr. Khaled Montaser al-Bawsat published this from the telegraph of a sweeping worker at the time of the operation. Wrong. He leads a famous heart doctor and his son to the Attorney General. A report accuses a famous doctor and his young doctor's son of medical error. This is what was stated in it while installing stents for a patient, one of which broke inside an artery, and the doctor failed to remove it and made sure to puncture it. Heart during the operation. Observe the patient. Cleaner, sweep the room. He let his son manage the operation by repeatedly answering the phone. His condition report was hidden from him which caused his health to deteriorate, and he underwent open heart surgery in Britain after the operation went wrong. Dr. Khaled Ali posted on the Post and wrote medical programs that began killing patients. Disaster. You will write in the man's comments, trusting in God and supporting his son completes means negligent, and we must also thank him for maintaining the cleanliness of the operating room, and he was easy and continuous before and after during the operation, which means service from the other. Stars. What else do you want? Roman? What did he write? All this negligence and recklessness is not lacking, except me lighting cigarettes in the heart while they are working. Dr. Khaled, Putin's left-wing response extinguished rehab in writing. But how? The patient saw the worker sweeping and the doctor talking on the mobile phone during the operation. An open heart does not require general anesthesia, Dr. Khaled. He corrected his information, told her D was legends and installing a prop. Not an open heart, an open heart. This is his work in Britain, Ahmed wrote. Certainly the nurse was veiled, and there were 2 veiled women in the room next to them. This is the publication. Dr. Khaled connected to this post after the miracle doctor learned that the patient had discovered the trick of hiding the compartment stent. By the English doctors, he wrote to him that he would not come. She was the one who directed the process of writing. But, oh God, in the comments, she published this post. He is Yasmine Ezz, a married woman. Her hair is as long as her husband kisses her on the head. Published the photo date without Tali Akram Ali. On the news of the doctor, he wrote the calamity and wanted to dress it for the divine self. I asked forgiveness from God Almighty. Isn't that also a form of disbelief? Dr. Khaled Montaser Al-Job, an observer of the smiles of the dead in intensive care for 28 years, wrote in intensive care and discovered a terrible medical discovery that the dead of pious energy, smiling death. Oh, our doctor and our dear professor, didn't Your Honor hear in forensics class about post-mortem muscle spasms? In parentheses, what is dead wood, which is in short, some death. The body begins to enter a stage known as deathwood, which is muscle spasms as a result of the cessation of operations. Biochemistry in cells. At this point it might happen. Contraction of the facial muscles, including the muscles that control the mouth and lips. If these muscles contract in a certain way, the face may appear to be smiling. These muscle spasms are not an expression of feelings or mental states, but are a natural result of low oxygen levels and cessation. And nervous control of muscles, our Professor Abu Lahab, the infidel, died smiling, and the communist Guevara has a famous picture of his body smiling, and his priests and rabbis, and so on. They have a lot of pictures of them dying smiling as a result of this degeneracy, mortis that happens after death, which I thought for 28 years, while you were looking for the smiles of the dead in intensive care who needed your care for them and not to prove a scientific miracle. Through their corpses, the second sentence, death is very old and used in heritage, poetry, sacred books, and ancient texts. He approved the flowers of Islam, and no one mentioned that they are a genius scientific miracle, just as Your Holiness mentioned with the utmost arbitrariness and fabrication to tell you about one thing in order to warn you against manipulating the story of the scientific miracle in these religions. You know that tasting death is mentioned in the New Testament. Take it specifically in a message. Hebrews chapter 9 we find, but who is placed a little above the angels, Jesus, we see crowned with glory and dignity for the sake of the pain of death, that by the grace of God he might pass away death. For each one in this context, the text indicates that Jesus Christ tasted death for the salvation of humanity, which means that he actually experienced death on behalf of every human being. Oh, our teacher, don't play in this area. Unfortunately, believe me, all the holy books. It doesn't talk about the immune system, relativity, laws of motion, or quantum physics. Refresh yourselves with the Quran, a book of guidance, not a medical reference, the Bible, the Torah, the Hakam of Boza, and so on. They are all ethics, and there are no theories of physics or chemistry. Magdi wrote in the comments, please do not interfere with specializations. Forensic medicine remains my field, and I am a consultant in the first house. Dr. Khaled responded to him and said to him, say it, Dr. Magdi. I have certainly seen many bodies smiling without lentils in books. I confirm that I am Dr. Magdi Al-Shamaa, the first forensic consultant with work experience. I have nearly 30 years in the forensic medicine department. I began, examined, and dissected thousands of bodies. I confirm that everything that was said by Dr. Khaled Montaser is scientific medical talk. It is true that Mohsen Sawar wrote, we want to see Sharon when he died, and is Netanyahu. If he had died smiling at some of these massacres, he would have been one of the righteous. Dr. Khaled responded to him and said to him in the voice of Farid al-Dib, Hamal al-Klas, I wrote, may God protect you. This is the first time I know the information about timber. Death, and sometimes I thought, like the video, that this is peace and faith. Thank you for the enlightenment, Dr. Khaled. Negi for some normal and exciting news coinciding with Sohag Kaaba. Chef Burak announces the opening of his first restaurant in Egypt, also Sohag Medical College, with more than 80% students studied in the first year. The Faculty of Medicine in Sohag has only 75 students. Those who succeeded in the entire batch. I like the story that Professor Nabil Andros published on his Facebook account, so I said I would share it with you. She says the story is a true story that happened in Fayum in a harsh winter around 1910 on a day when a poor widow from the people of Fayum came in the evening to Siman. The guard sitting at the door of the Archdiocese of Fayum in the service of Bishop Abram, and I asked him, may I meet our master? I know it's late. He said to her sarcastically, do you think she is a gate with a limit? Is this our master? Is he meeting anyone? Come in. Even if it's late, he won't welcome himself. The hermetic entered Bishop Abram in the Mandara, where he was receiving hesitants and visitors. She said to him, peace be upon you, our master. I am sorry for the inconvenience, but I have 4 children, and this winter is very cold. He did not find any blankets with Odessa. He told her to Anba Abraam, who did not keep any money with him unless the first person gave him a liquid or a needy person knocked on his door. Unfortunately, my daughter, there are no blankets or even money in the Archdiocese. I feel for you, winter girl. This year is very difficult, but don't be afraid. It will be sent. But you are my soul. Call me Simon. She went and called Simon. So he entered and asked our master, do you want something, our master? Our master said to him, go to my room. Bring the blanket that is in it. Simon replied angrily, there are no blankets in your Grace's room other than the blanket on your bed. Is it not reasonable to use your blanket? And the weather is cold again. Hermetic machine? It's impossible for me to ever take that watch. Anba Abraam, the son of obedience, replied, blessings upon him. Look out, Simon. Give her the blanket, and you listen to the words and take them. Cover your children with it. Simon came out while he was a laborer and was talking to himself. This is a forgotten man. He is an old man with a weak bone. What will he do? This, all night in the snow? Let him get tired when the cold is cold and learn wisdom in giving. Simon went down and gave the blanket to the widow after Bishop Abram's insistence. She met the widow, took the blanket, and Simon went out to sit in his place guarding the entrance. After a while, a man came and asked, "Can I meet the plant?" "Abram, I know it's late." Simon replied with a shock, "And you don't care. Come in. Keep your hands clean." The man entered, and Simon was surprised after a while by Bishop Abram coming out himself, calling him and saying to him, "Simon, Simon, you know the house of the woman who took the blanket. Ranadiha, and let her quickly return to the blanket." Simon responded angrily, "What did I tell you, our master? The weather is cold, and your bite will not be tolerated. Do not be afraid, our master. I know her house, and I will go with a picture that they will hear." He called the lady, brought the blanket, and they returned to the archbishopric. They found our master, and with him the visiting man. All the way, Simon was a worker crying for the widow that she agreed to take the old man's blanket. When the family of Bishop Abram arrived for the widow, "Return, my daughter. The blanket and my soul is with this good man," in Arabic, outside 10 new blankets. "My soul, take what you like and the number that is enough for you." I asked him joy, "May God keep you for us, our master." And Simon was kindled with anger and said unto Father Hebron, "Our Lord is left after 10 great blankets, and go and follow me, our master, in the midst of the cold, that I may bring you your blanket." Dee was old and chopped. I sat her down in the morning and was covered with a new blanket. Saint Bishop Abram responded, saying, "Is it reasonable, my son, that I should sleep? All night I sleep covered in a new blanket," and Christ in parentheses means the poor widow, covered with an ancient blanket. What is Professor Nabil at the heads of 12? This picture shows Bishop Abram, Bishop of Fayum, who is to the north of the picture. May God bless himself and benefit us with his blessings, and may the name of the Lord be glorified. If you like the video, I hope you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that everything new will reach you, and share with us with comments. Thank you to all the lovers and followers. Thank you.